Good evening. Welcome to the committee of the whole meeting of November 7th, the town of Inuvik. We'll call the meeting to order. We respectfully acknowledge the town of Inuvik is situated on the traditional homelands of the Gwich'in, Inuvialuit, and Métis peoples of the Northwest Territories. We are grateful to these indigenous groups of the NWT for allowing us the opportunity to learn, work, and live on their lands. We're also deeply grateful for the generous sharing of traditional knowledge and wisdom. We commit to honoring paths towards self-determination. Item number 2, adoption of the agenda. Any additions, deletions? There was the addition of 4.2, the RCMP report. Anything else? Seeing nothing. A declaration of conflict of interest or pecuniary interest. Anyone? Item number 4, 4.1, the update on the Inuvialuit Energy Security Project. We have Travis Polanski online. You'd like to begin, Travis?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Wood. Nice to see everyone. Thank you for having me, Grant and Council. I'm just going to share a presentation. I shouldn't be too long. I know you guys have a lot to go over. Let me just get this up here. Grant, when I share, can you hear me? It seems to be disabling my mic. It's really weird.
It showed you on mute, so I'm not sure why it would.
Yeah, it's really weird. 1 second here. Let me try something else. I will try this. Is that showing up?
Yep.
Okay. I was like sharing within a browser and it seems to cut out the audio when I do that. So I'll quickly, I'm just gonna recap kind of what the project's all about. I'm definitely gonna talk about where we're at with the project and most importantly with the permitting process. We're kind of hopefully in the last phase of that. And then just talk about kind of where we're heading here over the winter and into next year. Just a reminder, I know many of you have been familiar with this project for years, but what we're looking to do is put M18 back into production. M18 sits about 15, 16 kilometers south of Tuck. It's about 4 kilometers off the ITH. The M18 well is a little bit different than Ickhill. It contains some natural gas liquids as well as some heavier hydrocarbons or condensate. So we're looking to create a number of products from M18, which is unique from Ickhill. We're looking to do a liquefied natural gas or a natural gas stream that can be consumed in Inuvik and hopefully in Tuck when they convert their power plant to natural gas. We will be making a propane, which can be used places like Inuvik gas. And we're also looking to make a fairly substantial amount of synthetic diesel. And that can be used obviously in power generation. It can be used in equipment or transportation or heating. So all of these products, the intention here is to make sure that we're keeping all of the products in the ISR and the greater Beaufort region and trying to make sure that we don't have any, basically we don't want to do what the opposite of what we got right now where we're trying to ship everything into the Beaufort Delta. We don't want to have a bunch of products that we're producing up there get leaked out of the region. So we're really trying to make sure we maximize the utilization of M18. Just kind of recapping, it's been a while since we've been in front of the mayor and council and the town for that matter. There has been a lot done on the project. It feels like a lot of paperwork at this point, but there has been quite a bit done locally. The project did go through environmental screening. and that was approved at the beginning of 2021. We then had to step into the Canada Energy Regulator Development Plan. The CER is the regulator because this project sits in the ISR. That's kind of a legacy arrangement that they had with the NEB, which became the CER, which is different than I think the town of Inuvik because we have a ROGO there. It would be nice if this was a ROGO, but it is not because it's in the ISR. I'll get back to the CER in a minute. We did do a winter access trail the past winter, and we got in and we were able to remediate the drilling sump. That was a really successful project. We had over 50 local people that got put to work, and up to almost $5 million in contracts have been awarded as well between that and environmental studies and some of the work we've been doing around the site. The asset did transfer this summer. Originally, that agreement was signed in August of 20, but there was a number of steps that needed to be met in order to actually transfer the asset. That happened after the sump remediation, and that closed this past summer. And now we're into what we're calling operating authorizations with the Canada Energy Regulator. I'll come back to that in a minute. We do have kind of an overall management system that we've put together for the project. We have regular environment and wildlife monitoring going on right now, ground temperature monitoring, watching the permafrost conditions, and we have all the other management systems which are in front of the regulator right now for approval, which will look after health, safety, environment, quality management, emergency response, wildlife management, all the different aspects that we need to. And we're also looking to close off the offtake contracts as well as the financing for the overall approval of the project. Just being totally open and honest with everybody, there's two major things that we're focused on. I'll start with the one at the bottom. The CER process is a long one, and we were really hoping that we would have full road construction underway right now to get into the M18. The winter access trail is not adequate for 365-day access, so we need to get the all-season road in there, much like the ITH construction. We do have one bridge crossing at the middle portion of that road, about 2 kilometers off the ITH. Unfortunately, yep.
Sorry, we're only seeing the front screen. I don't know if you're scrolling through the slides or not, but we're
Oh, really?
just kind of stuck on the front one.
Really? Sorry. Let me try this again.
Not sure. It looked, we saw your mouse for a second there, so I don't know if it was scrolling through or what happened there. You're on a good roll. Sorry to interrupt you there. But.
No, it's all good. That's weird that it's not coming through. Let me try again.
It's technology.
We've been doing this for so many years. You think we could have it working by now? Is it flipping now, Grant?
You know, I think if you unclick that from the beginning, I think if you do, we've got a big enough screen. If you just kind of click on each, we're seeing it like not in show mode. It's just in the regular like
notes.
And if you want to just kind of click on the slide, that might help instead of a slide. There we go.
Like that? Okay.
Yeah, I think is that okay for everybody? Yeah, no, we can go with that.
Okay, when it's in presentation mode, it's not moving. So the two things that we're working on is the CER process. Unfortunately, this has been a huge contentious issue with the CER where they're claiming jurisdiction over the road. We think that the ILA is adequate to approve roads on Inuvik 7-1A lands. But unfortunately, we did not get this battle to a place where we were comfortable proceeding this winter. So the road construction is on delay until either the spring or fall of 2023, once we have CER approval. The second thing is we're managing kind of some of the cost inflation that everybody's seen on any project, but we're looking at some alternative ways to how the process will run to reduce some of the equipment, and also looking at how we would construct this to maybe reduce some of the overall construction costs of the project. So the engineering teams are busy looking at those alternatives, and we're hoping that we'll have kind of a revised budget and execution plan here at the end of the year, so that once we have CER approval, we can hit the go button on the whole project. This is just quickly on permitting because over the years, we've all heard lots of different stories about the permitting process. This is kind of to pictorialize it. We've been through kind of everything on the left-hand side of the slide, and we're now into operating authorizations. So these are basically deeming Inuvik Petroleum Corporation competent as an owner and operator of a petroleum asset. So we've had to submit various safety environmental management plans, financial wherewithal, all the things that come out of the Oil and Gas Operations Act legislation. And that's before the CER right now. We submitted one for the road in June. We submitted one for the well in July. And we subsequently submitted one for the overall facility at the end of September. What the CER did, I'll just go to the next slide. What the CER did is they took these three applications and they combined them into one hearing order. So the town would have seen this likely at least once, if not twice, come across. And I don't expect that you're going to read that process on the right. We can always follow up later. But what that means is we're going through a very similar process that we had during the development plan, where there's a period for people to intervene or comment, ask questions. The regulator asks questions. There's a back and forth depending on how in depth that gets. And this all leads to ideally some sort of a decision and approval with conditions, which we would see in the early to spring of next year, depending on how much of the process has to play out. I guess the ask of IPC and the Inuvik Energy Security Project is that we try to have a dialogue that's direct, and hopefully we can address any questions or concerns directly and not use this process, because if we use this process, it's a lot of work and a lot of time. So hopefully we can answer questions offline and not through this process. So that's what I ask of anybody that wants to, or anybody that has questions about the project. Maybe I'll stop there for a second. I've said lots. Any questions? Keep going.
Yes, please.
Okay. This is just a quick layout. So off the top right of this slide is where the road comes into M18 from the Inuvik Highway. The road from Inuvik Highway is mostly to the west. And then you'll see we kind of have a fork in the road, and this will come down. The M18 wellhead is shown there. This is actually the sump cap that we put in to remediate the drilling sump. That's this big circle here. And this is the future area where we'll put the energy facility. These squares are about 50 meters each side, so that gives you a bit of context of the scale. So the facility will sit about 150 to 200 meters away from the well, and this will all be local to M18. Just quickly, obviously we're looking to maximize local content. That's always been the vision here. That's part of the benefits plan of the overall project. So looking to hire local contractors, local construction jobs. We want to train and educate people for the long-term operations of the facility. Obviously, this will ramp up as we have approvals and construction ramps up itself. Beyond energy savings and energy security, the environmental footprint is a big deal. I think there's been questions, lots of questions about this in the past, but there's a rough savings of about 20,000 tons a year of CO2, which we feel is pretty significant for a relatively small population. And that's mostly by eliminating the transportation of the fuels. Obviously, if we have conversion of power plants to LNG, that'll be a further savings. So we could see further savings by either NTPC Inuvik or NTPC and Tuck starting to use more gas than diesel. And the screening committee, when they went through their process, obviously saw no significant negative impacts due to the project. Just quickly on the schedule, where do we sit based on all of this? We're trying to get CER approval early next year. I think we went over a bunch of the successes, which are mostly behind us in 22. We would look to build modules and equipment. They wouldn't be built obviously locally. This is going to be built in the south or internationally. These pieces would be built kind of through 2023 and into 2024. While those equipment, while the equipment's being built, we'd like to see the road constructed. We'd like to see the well re-entered and worked over such that it can go back into production. And then ideally, based on where we're at today, we'd see modules and equipment start arriving in the summer of 2024. And we'd like to assemble and get the facility up and running later that winter or early 2025. So we're about 2 to 2.5 years from production based on where we stand today. Last slide. We talked about the hearing order. So we're focused on getting through that process. We actually have our first round of information requests due this week. So we're just responding to that right now. I mentioned some of the engineering review and design we're doing to try and get the capital costs down. The capital cost is a big deal because it ends up being a factor in how much the product's going to cost that comes from the project. So the more that we can reduce that capital, the cheaper the products will be. And we're really trying to focus on maximum savings as possible. We don't want this to be an incremental benefit. We want it to be a significant savings on energy costs. We talked about the schedule, and we're actually looking at hiring a few people right now for some of the kind of interim work we have going on in community engagement. And hopefully we're ramping that up in 2023 with construction. So that's it for slides.
Thank you, Travis. An excellent presentation. I like the idea of cost savings. Council have any questions for Travis? Being none, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you all.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
4.2 RCMP report. We have nobody here.
Yes, we do.
He's undercover.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm walking.
you need to work undercover.
Hey, good. We're gonna do something with this thing?
No,
They're
not
not.
on.
Yeah, it's on, so you just have.
Perfect. Well, that's a tough act to follow, that one, eh? Mine's not gonna be nearly as exciting, but we'll have a go at her. So for notable occurrences for the month of October, we had, as everyone's probably aware, a serious motor vehicle incident that occurred on the Inuvik Top Highway. And the result of this incident was the unfortunate death of a local male. Driver of the related vehicle was arrested and has been charged with 4 criminal code offenses, including impaired operation causing death. Aside from that, it was a pretty uneventful month. The overall calls for service were about the same as the previous month. And actually probably fairly similar to, well, not pretty significantly lower than last year. October saw the arrival of our new Corporal Chris Heavener, and he's arrived from Betchco after successfully promoting into Inuvik's vacant corporal position. Chris comes to Inuvik with his wife and 2 young daughters, and they're all very excited to be here. So with Chris's arrival, the leadership at the detachment has regained some stability that it hasn't seen in quite a while, with all 3 NCO positions filled. So that's pretty exciting for us. Further to that, the Inuvik detachment now has 3 full-time detachment assistant positions filled, which allows us to change our hours of operation to Monday to Friday from 8 o'clock to 5 p.m. and open through lunch. So that should benefit some people. And yeah, I won't go through the numbers. As you can see, they're not significantly different from last month. As far as APP priorities are concerned, so family violence. During the month of October, the Inuvik RCMP responded to 39 reports of violence against persons, only 1 of which was related to family violence. This is a slight increase from the previous month in overall calls regarding violence against persons, but a noticeable decrease in the family-related violence. There were no specific initiatives surrounding family violence in the month of October. For road safety, during the month of October, Inuvik responded to 10 impaired driving files, with one of those being cleared by criminal code. We also sent a new member, well, a newly arrived member, for training to become a qualified technician on the intoximeter, and the corporal who transferred in was also qualified on the intoximeter. So at the end of the day, hopefully, we're going to have 4 and then eventually 5 qualified technicians. So that'll greatly benefit the ongoing battle against impaired driving. In the month of October, members were able to participate in the breakfast program each Friday morning. And this included making breakfast for the high school kids and serving muffins to elementary kids. Members also attended the Halloween extravaganza at the Midnight Sun Complex, where they interacted with attendees and checked in with organizers. They were complimented on the costumes, apparently. On Halloween night, members were visible in the community and handed out candies to the kids who were out trick-or-treating. And as I said, it wasn't a very exciting month, so that's all I got for it.
I think we like the months that are not exciting.
We do, don't we? Yes.
Quite frankly, I
Overall,
know
we-
impaired driving is down significantly
Yeah.
from last year.
Yeah, it looks like it, eh? So it's and, you know, with the close to a full complement of members, and then the extra qualified technicians, hopefully we can
I think
keep
a lot
it
of
up.
that's from the work of the RCMP here, so
Well,
good job. Council have any questions? None. Thank you very much, Sergeant.
thanks for having me.
Have a good evening. Next time I'll probably notice you.
Well, I'm not very tall, so it's not the first time it's happened.
I know the feeling.
Have a good night, guys.
You too.
Item 5, public question period. Nothing there. Item 6, 6.1, minutes of the October 24th and 26th council meeting. Any questions, corrections? Nothing. 7.1, the action items list. Any questions on that?
Mayor,
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
just on item number 4, the survey of lease lands, is that part of the, does that connect to the item from the strategic priorities about the properties available in town? Is that-
No, that's more of, we're coming with certain properties that we've been trying to get transferred to the town from commissioner's land, and they need to be surveyed. So, for example, up the ski hill or the ski club, where that property, but now they come back and say, no, you gotta get it surveyed, and that, there's a couple other ones that we're working on to get that.
Anything further? Item 8, new business, there is none. Item 9, bylaws, there are none of those. Item 10, 10.1, the economic development tourism report. Any questions for Jackie? I do have a couple. I noticed under monthly activities, you attended a Parks Canada strategic partnering and planning meeting. Could you give me the highlights of that?
Do you want them now or like submitted in writing?
Sorry?
Did you want them now verbally? Did you want them, I can submit them in writing?
Yeah, maybe a report in writing would be nice. At the same time, could you also follow up on the meeting with Canmore, what was discussed and so on? Thank you. Any other questions? Ten point two, community services reports. Any questions for Lise? Deputy Mayor Kulikowski.
That's the latest on the pool.
Turn it over to me.
Yes, Hale.
So we're making progress.
Okay,
It's slow. We had it almost all the way filled because we were testing out some stuff. I haven't talked to them for the last few days as to they were gonna recock a bunch of things and then go from there. They found one little hole, not part of the pool process, pool, but it was where the water was from the leaks coming in and going through a hole in the concrete that they found. That's where the water in the parking lot was coming from. So they've filled that in. And again, I'll maybe have an update for Wednesday. As to exactly, because we'll have a better idea, because I think they were doing a bit of the caulking late last week, and they have to let it cure for 2 days before they can put the water back in.
Thank you.
Any further questions? 10.3, capital projects report. Any questions on this? Ten point four, financial report. Any questions? 10.5, public works, public services report. Any questions? Information items, 11.1, strategic priorities chart. Any questions on that? 11.2 is Aurora Research, a number of projects they have going on. Excuse me. Item 12, council concerns. Any concerns tonight? Being none. We have an in-camera item, so I need a motion to go in camera. Deputy Mayor Kulikowski, seconded by Councillor Gowans.
Once they do the vote. I mean, it's not.
What's that?
We have to call to the vote.
All in favor? Motion's carried.
Yes.
Oh, I can't.
You can stop recording. You can do the live stream, so do it down in the bottom, which is more. Stop the live stream.
Stop recording.
Yeah.